So I had this whole opening prepared where I was going to talk about how Tom and Jerry on the box were all 90s-fied, and how that and the game tied into the awful Tom and Jerry movie that was released at the same time. Except as it turns out, this game's from 1991, before the film came out. So that's out, and this bad Tom and Jerry game just has to stand on its own. Tom and Jerry is an example of a genre we haven't seen a whole lot of on the Famicom. The Euro platformer. The land of sprawling levels, meaningless collectibles, and awkward controls. If you find yourself constantly zigzagging back and forth in a stage, following a path obscured by poor visual design, you might be trapped in a Euro platformer. Tom and Jerry was MGM's big cartoon franchise, and it focused heavily on a cat and mouse performing acts of extreme violence on each other. The plot of the game Tom and Jerry is that they fight, and fight, and fight, and fight, and fight. Tom and Jerry is divided up into 5 worlds, which have 2 stages and a boss fight. And as mentioned, the stages are enormous, and require that you take a very circuitous path through them. The A button jumps, while the B button makes Jerry throw a little blue ball. You can throw 2 of them at a time, and there's a pause between when you can throw, so you can't really rapid fire them. Also, Jerry throws them downward, which gives them a really pathetic range. Except sometimes while you're jumping, he'll just toss one upward for some reason. I couldn't consistently get him to do this, though. Most enemies require multiple hits from the ball in order to be destroyed, but some of them are indestructible and just get stunned by it. And some of those that get stunned look exactly the same as enemies that can be destroyed. Jerry starts with 3 hearts, and there's a really bad tendency in this game for your hits to chain into each other, particularly with environmental hazards. At least after showing you how many lives you have left, you respawn in almost the exact same spot. You start with 5 lives, and you have infinite continues, though continues take you back to the start of the stage you were on. Some of the obstacles you encounter on stages won't do any damage at all, they'll just push you around. There's really no consistency though with what will hurt you and what will shove you. You can't know what something will do to you until you touch it. The stages tend to be confusing to navigate. You'll have to make long-distance jumps to platforms that are barely visible, climb up things that look like they're part of the background, and try to figure out which platforms you can jump through and which ones you'll bonk your head on. Sometimes these look exactly the same. There's also a bad tendency for there to be hazards that you can't see until you've started your jump. All in all, Tom and Jerry has some very hostile level design. There are a few things that Jerry can pick up as he progresses through the stages. The small cheeses are just worth bonus points at the end of the level. But since you can get bonus points by shooting stunned enemies over and over again, the score is even more useless in this game than usual. The large cheeses recover 1 heart. Collecting ink will make you invisible for a short time. There's even a little timer on the screen letting you know when it'll run out. And then we get to the special items that are used in a different way. To use these items, you have to hit select, and that swaps out Jerry's attack for using that item. You find gum on multiple stages. Using it will put Jerry in a bubble that will float upward briefly. That's the only item that you can have more than 1 of and is carried between levels. The drill is a permanent addition to your inventory, and it will let you make holes in walls. But not all of the walls, just some of them. And the walls that you can make holes in look identical to the walls that you can't. The way you tell the difference is you strike the wall with one of the blue balls, and if it explodes, then it's a wall you can destroy. There's another stage where you get a cup that will put out fires that block your path, but I didn't realize that's what the cup did, and I managed to get through those fires anyways. After 2 stages, you'll fight Tom as a boss. While the details change, your goal is usually to shoot him in the face until he dies. Not for the bees stage though, there shooting the bees makes them go after Tom for some reason. For the last 2 versions of the boss, Tom sticks his face out of random locations for just a fraction of a second, and you have to be standing in exactly the right spot to even have a chance of hitting him. It's becoming a bit of a broken record, but Tom and Jerry is yet another late-era Famicom game that nobody in Japan cares about. This is the kind of game where they don't even upload videos of it, which I guess means the field is wide open for me. The best thing in Tom and Jerry are the graphics. It's not a bad-looking game. In fact, I'd say it probably looks a lot better to you watching the video than it felt to me playing it. It's not the worst Euro platformer I've ever encountered. It's not even the worst one that I've encountered on an 8-bit Nintendo platform. But it's still more annoying to play than it should be. The best thing about Tom and Jerry is that it's not an especially difficult game, so you'll beat it fast and then never have to think about it again.